I'm Tiff Beatty. I'm the Program Director of Arts, Culture, and Public Policy at the National Public Housing Museum. We are based in Chicago, Illinois, but we're a national museum. So our mission is to really be the first cultural institution to tell the story of people of public housing through oral history, which is our core archive. And we are a new museum, and so we are still building. And so this is a really critical point for us as we're starting to design what our exhibition spaces will look like, what our programming spaces will look like, and thinking about oral history as a way to not only collect information, but also build relationships in the community for it to be a community-centered museum with a social justice mission. So the program I'm going to talk about today is At Home, Ephemeral Monuments to Public Housing. And this is a fun story because it isn't actually a program that was supported by this process that we're doing with ABC and CCI, but that was sort of the fun, surprising element, is that we got a lot of really great connections to some of the things that we talk about in this space. And so I'd love to talk about that. But just to give a little bit of background and history, most folks are, I think probably everyone, safe to say, in this room is familiar with the uprisings that happened in the summer in 2020. And in Chicago, locally, in August of last year, the city of Chicago announced a racial healing and historical reckoning project to assess memorials and monuments and other art across Chicago. Our executive director at the NPHM, Dr. Lisa Yoon Lee, is actually on the advisory committee charged with grappling with the often unacknowledged or forgotten history associated with the city's various art collections, including memorials and monuments. And so we've been grappling with this as a museum, and inspired by a local academic and sort of thought leader and critic in this space, Romy Crawford, who's at the School of the Art Institute. She has like this very, in my mind, forward thinking perspective on monuments. She asks, why can't memorials and monuments be fleeting, slighter, less precious, less heroic? And what if the deeper knowledge of our histories was deemed just as important as the markers that commemorate them? So for us, thinking about this, we were super inspired by Dr. Crawford and the artists that her work engages. And one of those artists who works in this space is a local artist named Lauren Miranda. She also works with NPHM on various graphic design projects. So we engaged Lauren, who thinks about monuments and memorials and with the similar perspective that Romy brings with how can we make this history more alive and to really actually represent the deeper knowledge as opposed to just this static sort of symbol that is, ordained by the city or whatever that the institution is that deems it important. And so we actually had a collaboration between NPHM's oral historian, Shakira Johnson, and Lauren Miranda. Shakira is a former public housing resident. She's on staff with us full time. That actually just happened recently. And this project, I think, was also part of that onboarding as she got more deeply involved with some of the other projects that we have at the museum. So she actually curated the oral history excerpts, which were incorporated into a projection installation. And we were hoping to have this, and we actually were successful with this, but we had a 3-day exhibition. So it was temporary and it was installed outdoors. Of course, this is during COVID-19. So we were very careful with making sure that we set up everything so that folks could view the exhibit safely and had just certain hours that we had the installation up. So I'm really excited to show you all just a short video of some of the narrators, which are the residents that we invited to see the monument that was created with some of the excerpts from their oral histories, and they're responding to them.
Hatch, and I lived in Jane Addams public housing from the age of 2 all the way to the age of 16. And this was literally home, just a few feet from here. We lived at 835 South Ada, and my mom actually passed away in the apartment in the bathroom early in the morning in January of 28, 1967, in a snowstorm. And so for us, this is really for our family and the generation sacred and really holy ground for us. And but great memories of a great childhood here. Oh, it was powerful for our family. Our sister Rhoda Jean Hatch was the oldest sister in our family of eight. I had seven sisters, and she passed away on April 4th, 2020, COVID and the pandemic. And we saw her words, the poetry of her words. We weren't able to have a funeral at the time that she passed, and so all of this has really given us a lot of feeling of fulfillment to see her words lifted up and to know that her story has been told and she will not be forgotten.
My name's Shalonda McIntosh. I live in Cabrini Green. It was beautiful. It's speechless. Um, just to know that my voice is heard. Um, to know that it means a lot. Um, it's love, it's compassion, it's touching at the same time. Um, whew, it's wonderful, marvelous. Just to know that the museum is like it'll connect us all. It don't make a difference what development you from. All of us share the same common goals. All of us want something bigger and different in life. We had candy stores in every development. We had people that did hair in every development. We had entrepreneurs in every development. We had issues in every household, and everybody got along. Everybody was family. Everybody played. Everybody looked out for each other. And just to know that it's sitting right here, this museum, it gives everybody that never lived there a look onto what's really happening there, how they really can see it instead of viewing us from a different point of view.
My name's Raymond McDonald. I live in Cabrini Green, apartment complex 870. My impression of seeing the stories represented in the James Adam homes, that was awesome. I got a chance to actually see my words projected on a big screen. That's pretty cool when you think about it. In a different neighborhood as well too, one like my own. It allows me to feel like I can connect with them a little bit more. Hopefully, the people who come back to this neighborhood and get a chance to see their neighborhood, get a chance to see my words in their neighborhood, and we can connect that way too. Because their real homes are kind of like mine. Um, what is next for the future? Let's let's connect. How can we connect a little more? Um, and thank you. I appreciate you.
Awesome. So I just have just a couple of more things to say and then I'll wrap it up. But just going back to Romy for a minute, I mean, one of the things that Romy says about the forgotten voices that are left out of our history is that those are actually the voices that are going to inform us into the future. And I think that's exactly what happened with this project. So you all heard Shaq talk about the future and how we can stay connected. Also, we heard Chalanda talk about some similar things. And I think that this project was an eye opener, at least for me. I started at the museum in June, and so I'm still sort of thinking about all of our different strategies and how they support each other. And for me, I really came away thinking about how we are leveraging our archive and artists to bring people together in ways that are really low stakes and in some ways giving a gift, sharing something, starting with that generosity. And then just there's really no limit to what can happen in those spaces. So even after some of those conversations that you saw on video, there were more conversations off camera. Chalanda actually asked if the museum would be interested in working together with her. I found out that she has a business, a housekeeping business, and she's very interested in working with the museum. And so we started talking more about that. She had no idea that Her brother actually is on the board at NPHM, so we had a fun conversation about that. And then practically, in terms of our programming, we have the program that we are working on with ABCD is our entrepreneurship hub. And so just that conversation that really wasn't about the entrepreneurship hub, but we started talking more about our resident-led working group to actually create a cooperative business that's sponsored by the National Public Housing Museum, and Shalonda and several other residents who attended that event. We've stayed in contact, and they're actually a part of those groups now as well. So in terms of ladder of engagement, just really moving those folks into more leadership positions and being able to, yeah, just participate on a deeper level with the work. Oh, can I just say one more thing really quickly? The actual monument itself, it's funny because I didn't actually show that. But if you go on YouTube, there is a video of the monument, and it's called Ephemeral Monuments to Residents of Public Housing. So you can actually see the art that folks were responding to in this video. It is important, but obviously we wanted to have focus on the conversations with residents for this conversation.